it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And thank you to our 200th subscriber and to all of our 200 subscribers. We appreciate you all and hope that we can get some more because we like them and we like you and we appreciate you and it's just nice and fun. And also, we are reviewing all of the Halloween movies, and we last night reviewed Halloween, and it's just called Halloween, but it was Halloween 2018. And we forgot to do one thing because we were tired, mainly me, and we forgot to food review it, which is what we do to all of our movies, but we don't do to TV shows. And lately we've been doing a lot of TV shows, and we don't do that, so I just forgot, and I was so exhausted.
And make no mistake, everyone, I would have remembered to do a food review. Oh, I did remember, but she kept on wanting us to end it because we were so tired. But I definitely would have remembered if I had not had a nice little glass of champagne to celebrate 200 subscribers.
And it wasn't even that good, unfortunately.
So it was really bad champagne, and it made me really tired and forgetful about things.
And he actually just dumped out the rest of the bottle, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what did we food rate 2018 Halloween? I gave it, I thought of one thing, but I'll do it for this next one, but I won't say what it is now, of course, because we have to review the movie, and that is the new movie Halloween Kills, which we just watched. Okay, now, what I reviewed, the Halloween 2018, because it was such a disaster, and I didn't like Jamie Lee Curtis looking like a mental patient with her hair. It really drove me bananas. But we're not going to go through that. We've already done the review. We've actually already uploaded the review. My review was, remember, this is going to kill you, but the movie Elf. Remember Buddy and what one of his favorite meals was? And I think the actor Will, whatever his name is, he actually almost barfed because to try to eat that for real, which he did try to do, was so gross and disgusting. But they actually had somebody develop a recipe. It's on the web, and you can actually look it up. You just say what Buddy the Elf ate in the movie Elf, and they'll show you. But cooked spaghetti noodles, maple syrup, chocolate syrup, M&Ms, marshmallows, and to top it off, this wonderful dessert, or I should say breakfast, was ended with chocolate fudge Pop-Tarts.
With all inside spaghetti noodles.
And that is what this movie was, a bunch
crunched
of
together.
Gobbledygook, yeah.
He crunched it together, too.
Well, this was, the picture on the internet was actually very artfully done. And
I bet
each piece
was
in its little exact little spot.
Probably done by some future Biggest Loser contestant.
Well, I don't know about that, but it was very artfully done, the photographs. And so I just will call this Buddy's, I'm going to rate this movie Buddy's Surprise. Not. Which really threw everything in but the kitchen sink, and it just didn't work at all, and we already have done this. And so that's what I rated it. So, Marco, what was your food review of this was the Halloween 18 that we forgot.
It's just called Halloween, so, might as well just say Halloween. Because it's like, they don't care, so why should we care?
I care.
Well, nobody else cares.
I don't care.
I don't care that you don't care. So, I rate it. Now listen, everyone. I rate this Halloween 2018 one of the worst movies ever made. Pile of shit movie. Should never have been made. Complete waste of time. Feminazi Halloween movie. I rate it. There was this one time I went to Steak and Shake. I think it was 2016. and it was on a spring day, and I went there to get 2 burgers and a small shake. I mean, and you know the reason why I got 2 burgers was because they're really skinny, and so you can really get 2 burgers there and not really like care. Like I wouldn't eat 2 huge hamburgers. I would just eat 2 like skinny ones, and I got a Western bacon barbecue burger, and then I got one Royale burger. And so the Royale burger it was a burger with shit on it, and then and then an egg, a fried egg, sunny side up egg.
That's what Nami does. She puts eggs on everything. Oh.
So, and then I got a small mint shake. And I would rate it this because when I ate the Royale burger, now the Western burger was fine, but I ate that Royale burger, there was something off in that burger. And, Steak and Shake burgers are already shitty, terrible, like diarrhea surprises. But this Royale burger, you bit into it, it was like biting into some weird sour shit. And there was some squirtings and some squirtles of sourness, and it was very odd. And I pulled it up, and I thought, is it the tomato? Is it the bacon? What is it? Is it the egg? Like, it was a really gross taste, and I ate like half of it.
Oh.
And I had horrible food poisoning from that burger.
Oh.
And even though I only ate like half of it, it was
Doesn't matter.
Ugh.
It must have been really bad.
Sour squirtles.
Oh.
Probably from the tomato. Tomatoes are a huge issue for a lot of food places that you go to. You always got to worry about the tomato.
That's
I've
weird.
noticed that the best place in terms of tomatoes is Wendy's.
Hmm.
I've eaten their tomatoes a lot of the time. They have pretty good tomatoes, so that's my rating for 2018.
Okay, well, that's helped me think about the movie we just watched, which was Halloween Kills, and I've changed my rating, and you will see what it is at the end. You made me think of it by talking about what you just did.
It's very fitting that you would like kind of copy my rating.
No, it's not. It's anywhere near the same.
Since this movie, just copies everything else. It doesn't really do anything original at all. So.
No, but I don't know what you say that. Okay, well, we are going to review now Halloween Kills. My voice goes quieter because it was such a disaster. There were things in it. Marco said there's just so much, and he's probably right. He has a 1,000 times better memory than me, because basically when I see something or learn about it, I put it on a shelf and walk away and store it for future reference. I don't, but he keeps all these details like right next to him in an imaginary shelf. So, but I'll just start off. They have this intro, and I was so confused. I was getting a headache. Because the reason why was because it was a combination of 3 movies. It was the first movie, 2018 movie, and this movie. And I was just so confused. And Marco actually he knew what was going on. He had to explain.
I hardly understood what was going on. I was just.
Well, he knew enough to tell me, and I understood. But it was. And it involved, I'll just say this, Keystone, I called them Keystone Cops. And, if I don't know if Haddonfield, Illinois is real, because that was something I wanted to look up. Maybe it isn't, because I think somebody, okay, well, somebody would have mentioned it. Even if it was real and they didn't shoot there, like in Glee, when they talk about Lima, Ohio, that is a real place, but they didn't shoot there. They shot in what,
I
California.
mean, isn't it kind of embarrassing that they still haven't shot a Halloween movie in Illinois?
Which is ridiculous.
It's almost
they
like
would love it. Why can't they?
It's almost like the people who make Halloween movies don't like the people who live in Illinois.
But that's ridiculous.
Because they have some sort of like, Hollywood thoughts about them. Like, oh, we don't want to shoot a movie in a town with a bunch of, what kind of people. We want to shoot in our little safe space in Hollywood, in our little sound stage, where there's no weather and everything just looks like dioramas and.
We'll be flat. It'll be a flat land.
The hospital looked terrible. I mean, every setting in this movie was poorly designed. Like there were so many cheap set design that looked like they just went to Goodwill and got a bunch of stuff from there. Like the kind of stuff that Safi likes to sell. And they got all that and they just taped it against the wall, with their little duct tape. And they're like, look everyone, this is what set design is. The only good set design was the house because it was burning down, so they really didn't have to do much set design besides light it on fire.
Was that That wasn't his house.
Oh, that was Lori's house.
I was going to say because they had a greenhouse, and I don't remember his house having a greenhouse. Well, one thing was interesting, and it probably a good thing, which is going to sound really bizarre because the movie was horrible. Okay, but they had two gay guys, and they had bought his house, and they had completely renovated it. And everything was painted really nicely. They had installed special glass with, it did not look good, Sophie. Oh,
I
loved it. It was beautiful.
It looked like a hodgepodge
They
of
exposed the
shit.
Wooden floors, and anybody would want to live. It was very cozy and nice, and
I would
no more comment about that.
I would rather live in the underground tunnel in Halloween Resurrection.
Well, I thought it was a very beautiful house. He's out of his mind. And as far as the comment about what I sell, it's not a very good, helpful thing to say when somebody's trying to have a selling business. But anyway.
But you know what I mean. It's like everything looked really thrown together.
And that can be that way too.
Nothing looked personalized. It all looked like they were recycling props from TV movies that they made. That's what they did in TV shows back in the olden days, or even now. They recycle stuff from everything. They recycle props, recycle clothing, recycle everything. All the paintings you see on the wall, it just all looks so generic and ugh.
I thought the decor was really nice. I mean, I watch people who do decor.
I didn't like
too,
it.
And so that was one of the best things in a movie. Other than that, God, it was such crap. But what was interesting too, and this is a bad thing now because the whole movie was really 99% bad.
Well, okay, I'll say the one good thing.
Okay,
that's
a good idea.
I kind of liked the scene where Michael kills all the firemen, especially after those pussy firemen made a petition saying, Michael Myers should not be allowed to kill firemen. That's offensive.
He didn't spare anybody,
yeah, fuck
okay?
off.
And you can't do that.
Fuck off.
It was a scene, it was kind of like...
It was a good scene.
When they
liked it.
I didn't particularly like that either, but when he came out of the house, Michael Myers, and behind him the house is burning, like it's an artfully, like they placed the fire bombs or whatever they do to do a fire in Hollywood. They placed them in artfully put places so all the flames are coming out evenly or something. I don't know how to say it, artfully or something, but and then he's all filthy and he's carrying a hatchet, the long-handled hatchet.
And he just kills everyone.
And he comes out
and they all have weapons too.
And they have electric. They have chainsaws because it's such a disaster. They have to go in there, and they use all that equipment. They had axes and chainsaws to start off with, and he's so horrible that he got them, and I can
That was cool.
Well,
it was a pretty cool scene.
It was weird, but anyway,
and then,
the whole scene was very artfully done.
And then I didn't like the story at all.
Oh, God. I don't even know what the story is. So dumb. Oh,
but the story,
mob violence.
But the story where there's a mental pit, and this is what's hilarious. They literally, at the beginning of the movie, are in a bar. All the characters who are a part of the mob, they're in a bar, and they have a broadcast on the news that says there were 2 patients who have not been found, and they show the face of one of the patients who is not Michael Myers. And this whole town of beer bellies, as they said in the 4th one, because they're basically just ripping off the 4th one with this whole plot. None of them care. None of them even figure out that guy, the mental patient that they chase after and they want to kill him, none of them figure it out. But then Judy Greer actually tries to help him, and I thought, actually, it would have been a really cool movie if it was just an entire movie of they kill Michael Myers, and then they're trying to protect, like, this other guy who they all think is Michael Myers, but he's not. Like, that would have been pretty cool. It would have been kind of like Assault on Precinct 13, another John Carpenter movie that I've just seen recently. So I think that would have been actually pretty cool, but of course they didn't do that. They did the shit plot, and they ripped everything off as usual, and all the fans love it. I mean, they basically cut out pieces of different films in the Halloween series, taped them all together, and then said, "Look, here's our new movie." Like, this is just laziness at its finest. I mean, at its worst, I guess you'd say. Finest in terms of the fanboys love this movie.
No, you said they didn't, Marco.
I don't. There are a lot of people who hate it, like, the smart people. But then there are a lot of idiots who like this movie. And I call them idiots because these people are the reason why we got this movie.
Okay, well, another egregious mistake they made was, one thing is they would go back and they would take things from other movies and put them in there, or they would copy the storyline or some incident.
Yeah.
But also, what was unbelievably egregious was, remember the nurse? How first of all, she's in the very first episode.
The first movie.
Sorry. So busy doing TV, I'm getting mixed up. Anyway, the first movie, she was with the doctor, and they showed him going through the car, but she's okay. She didn't get hurt. So, but then, I don't know when it was, but then another Halloween movie, she got killed.
H2O. She gets killed in the very opening sequence.
Opening scene. The same woman. She shows up in this movie.
Oh, well, that
alive
movie,
and well.
That movie doesn't exist anymore, Safi.
Yeah, I mean, that's unbelievable. That is just totally egregious bullshit. It's the same person, like the same actress, playing the part. And she doesn't really look that much different from how she looked in H2O. So to me, that's totally egregious.
And she gets killed again. So she literally comes back to get killed again.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then they rip off the scene from part 1 where they're in the car and Michael smashes his hand on the glass. And it's like, wow, remember part 1?
Well, Marco remembers about 1,000 times more.
That's why I watched the whole series now, because I wanted to be able to know and have all these moments on hand that I could just cite as moments that they literally copied.
Well, there are so many, they're actually too numerous to mention.
I know. It could take hours to talk about all of it.
And this thing where this was filmed before the insurrection, that's all I'm going to say about it. But this was a mob of people from the town, because Marco read...
Bullshit.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Marco read about what this was going to be, a mob.
Yeah,
and Lori was going to lead it. Well, that was another thing. God, my God, there's just so much. It's frightening.
Yeah, you have notes that you wrote.
You saw, I know, but it's like, I can't even, don't even know where to begin. First they have this mob, and they're going after a mental patient that's not Michael Myers.
You begin at the beginning
and
of the
he's
notes.
he's already talked about it. And then you have Lori. Lori, they took her. She was alive. They took her to the hospital. They showed the whole not ambulance. They took her in a truck, took her to the hospital. She was stabbed in the abdomen, and they had to do. Okay, in real life, I said she's like about my age. She's, well, I don't really. Well, she's 3 years younger than me, so she had to have major surgery. She has bled out quite a bit. She's having major surgery where they have to sew her up, and she probably has inner damage too, and they're sewing everything up. So anyway, they think this mental patient, which Marco's already talked about, is Michael Myers. So this humongous mob who has a lot of people are there at the hospital, but then they have the people join them, so it's huge. They're running and chasing with mindless violence after this person who's not even the one they want, and you look at him and you know that can't be the guy. He's not even wearing a mask.
He's in white robes from the institution.
Yeah, he's wearing his from the institution.
He's short and fat. He looks like fucking Ron Jeremy.
And he has very long hair. And it's sticking out on both sides. I mean, long hair.
Looks like the fucking penguin.
But below the shoulders. Or maybe at the shoulders. But it's pretty long. And, for an older man. And Michael Myers is big. He's big, and he wears his mask. His mask is like, isn't it Hercules that if he cuts his hair? Or is that somebody else? That Samson. Samson. You cut he had really long hair, and you cut his hair, and he doesn't have any more strength. Remember that?
I don't know about
well,
that.
some people know about
Samson?
that. So if you can't take his mask off, he can't complete his killing task.
Samson?
You saw this. They showed this. In
the Simpsons? Are you talking about the Simpsons?
I'm talking about Samson. Well, you look it up on Google if you don't know what I'm talking about.
Samson?
And now I've lost my train of thought. But
You're
anyway,
just making stuff up.
No, I'm not. Read about it and quit doubting what I say. Anyway, before he does this, finishes these kills, they have one in particular. His mask, she ripped the mask off his face, and then he had to bend down and pick it up and put it on before he could finish his task. So he can't do anything without it. This guy doesn't even have a mask on. And he's not wearing the dark clothes.
They show his face in full detail, which is something I bet all the fanboys loved.
Yeah,
They're like,
did.
oh no, you showed his face!
And this guy's also in our, like, Jamie Lee Curtis and me.
Like, remember how they showed his face twice in the original?
Yes.
Or 3 times? Like, they show his face constantly in the original. Like, he basically wears the mask for fun. It's almost like playing a prank, like how it's like he wants to scare people, and so that's why he wears the mask. It's not because the mask is essential to his identity at all. Like you could just okay.
There's
go
just
ahead,
so many
Safi.
things. The last
What's
thing
the
I'll
next
just bring up.
The last thing? No, we've just begun.
You can bring up the rest.
I don't want to. I hate this movie.
Don't bring up everything.
I hate this movie.
Well, you've already basically told them they have stolen either footage, ideas, and then the thing with the nurse is just, like I said, totally egregious. They've stolen an actual character from a previous movie. They can kill her again.
They show footage. Now, I want you guys to think about this. They ignored all the sequels, and yet they showed footage from Halloween 2, where Annie's on the stretcher and her dad's looking at her. And so, so the sequels aren't good enough to acknowledge as canon, but they're good enough to steal footage from and put them in this movie? Oh, I get it. I see. That's really nice. That's really that's a good thing to do. I'm glad that you're doing that. It's 2021. And, well, of course, they made this movie like a million years ago, and then they put off the movie another year because of how bad it was. Like, this movie is so bad, it's almost like you can't even really talk about how bad it is because nothing could describe how bad it is. Like, people talk about Michael Myers being pure evil. Well, this movie is pure trash.
Mm-hmm. Well, another thing that bothered me a lot, but Marco said they actually stole this idea from another movie, was that they had this boy, Tommy, who grew up, and he was, I don't know what you want to call it. He was this kid, and he was bothered by these bullies. Well, as grown-ups now, he's friends with the bullies. They're all friends, which is kind of funny, and that's probably as it should be. They're out of school. It's over. But he's a real dweeb now, and I'm sorry, but anyway.
I would say Tommy is the Tommy in this movie, not Tommy in Part 6, who's actually a fantastic character.
Yeah.
The Tommy in this movie is probably, I would say, he might be the worst character in the entire series.
He's the one that led the charge after the mental patient.
Well, Lori did too.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot to even finish that. I'm sorry.
See, you got notes. You got no excuse. Look at those notes, Safi.
That's the other side is what we're having for dinner. We're having beef vegetable soup, by the way. So anyway, yeah, Lori she got out of her hospital bed after having major surgery and holding her abdomen as she did it and started leading the charge. She hasn't seen the guy, but she believes him when they say it's him. And she should have thought better. And she did, but of course she just went through major surgery. And how she's even awake, because if you have major surgery, you don't just get up out of bed in 2 seconds.
She got up out of bed and she
would have been under anesthesia. I don't get that.
She got some syringe and there was like a bottle of plot juice and she injected herself with all this plot juice.
Well, I think
and she's like, "Oh yeah!" And then she's like, "I'm ready now. I'm gonna go hunt Michael Myers."
No, she really did. She gave herself an injection, and I think it's some kind of, I don't know, if you ever saw Sleepy Hollow and Ichabod, they were taking the boy back to his colony because to prevent the spread of this virus, and he was struggling because he was dying, and so the girl is with him. She didn't get sick. She's a sheriff's deputy or something. She had a medical kit with her, and she gave him this shot, and she said it's just to give you the energy to keep going. So it's something, I don't know what the name of it is, but anyway, the thing I wanted to bring up was she gets out of bed. This is a woman, I mean, in the movie anyway, she's a grandmother, but I'm a grandmother too, but I mean, there's young grandmothers, but this is one that's like around my age. And she gets out of bed after having major surgery and leads the charge against this, not Michael Myers. And then, of course, she doesn't make it to very far because she's just had major surgery and she's in pain. And guess what? She opened her wound and she started bleeding again.
That was funny. I was like, yay.
So,
put that bitch back in bed where she belongs.
So, and it's just, okay. Oh, well, the other thing I was upset about, but Marco said this was copied from another movie. He can say what it is because I can't remember.
Can I mention first, Lori, all of a sudden, in this movie, all of a sudden she starts caring about the town. Even though in Halloween 2018 she moved to the middle of nowhere, out in the wilderness, and she didn't give a flying fuck about the town. And in fact, at one point, she's running around a neighborhood pointing her gun at children running around.
Yeah, this was before he attacked her.
So, no, she does not care about the fucking town. That is just bullshit. And just, she had all these monologues about evil, and we couldn't even really understand what she was saying. Like,
We couldn't hear. That was another thing. We couldn't hear the movie. We had trouble hearing, and I'm like, what does it even matter? It's so bad.
In my opinion, it's sort of like Weekend at Bernie's, where she actually died before this movie happened, and it's a bunch of fanboys that are controlling her body like a puppet. And they're speaking for her, and they're just all trying to fight to speak what shitty lines they wrote that they want to say. Like, Michael Myers is pure evil! Michael Myers needs to die! And they're just controlling her, and so it's really the illusion that she's still alive.
Okay, well, the only other thing that really bothered me a lot, but the whole movie was horrible and bothered me a lot, but anyway, was that good old Tommy, was it Tommy? No, the bully, who bullied Tommy when he was a boy.
Lonnie.
Although he had a whole car full of guns, and he decided to bring them all for the mob to use, so he handed out guns to people. You saw, these people were like the granddaughter and a nurse and a doctor in real life, and some other miscellaneous people. I think the nurse, maybe.
Yeah.
And some other people gave them guns. They'd never even used one before. So we had a bunch of random people with guns with bullets who can kill. And guess what happens to all of those people?
They all die.
They all got killed. You know what happened to one of them especially? Michael Myers got a hold of her and made her shoot herself.
I like that too. I thought that was cool. At least that kill.
If you
idea.
want to get a gun, you have training. Training matters, and you can see it with these people. No, I'm not going to. I mean, this was horrible. But I mean, it was fun for Michael Myers, though. He had a good time.
But this was an emergency.
Yeah, it was an emergency.
The point is, like,
he didn't even tell him how to use them. He didn't even tell him about the safety.
Well, remember that Danish that Danish movie we watched where he actually teaches them how to shoot guns first, and they all had trouble, and then the fat one knew how to do it. See that foreign movies know what to do.
Yeah,
nowadays.
they do, and it was a lot better done.
And they don't steal from other movies too, because
at least this one didn't.
This was basically all stolen from Halloween 4. Where
he mentioned the Halloween 4.
Where again you have a bar full of beer bellies, and it's just all these retards who are like, look, I have a gun. That means I kill Michael Myers. And just like literally everyone in this movie thinks that they can take on Michael Myers, and it is the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. Like, there's a moment at the end where this dipshit Lonnie. And let me say this too. Lonnie's last name is Elam, and well, see, you should never trust anyone with the last name of that. Okay, and so this dipshit Lonnie Elam, he decides to go confront Michael all by himself.
That's the bully, right?
And then he gets killed. And it's like, yeah, that's what happens.
And he did this with the granddaughter of Lori.
Yeah, Alex, the grandson.
And her boyfriend, who is this guy's son.
The grandson.
That's his grandson?
The grandson, Alex, and his boyfriend,
Marco.
Cameron.
Well, anyway, they're kids. They're high school kids.
Not in real life.
He's taking them to a murderer who can't be stopped by anyone, but he thinks he's going to go in there and save the day.
And then he dies. And that literally happens over and over again in this movie. Like, it is so embarrassingly bad. Like, who wrote this script? Like a 1-year-old? Did like a 1-year-old grab like a crayon? Or did Michael write this script because he's like, oh, I'm going to write a script where I just get to kill a bunch of random people.
I just get to kill the most people probably I've ever killed in a movie.
And it's so overly violent too.
It's
like
overly overdone.
The violence is just absurdly overdone.
The top.
It's like a cartoon. And this movie was just once again a gigantic waste of time
and money.
This did not progress the Halloween series because it's not even a part of the Halloween series. The Halloween series ended with Resurrection, And this movie actually has moments that are from Resurrection, like the part where the guy at the beginning, the deputy, he touches the blood to see if it's real. They did the same exact thing in Halloween Resurrection at the beginning. The same exact thing. Remember the security guard? He walks into the laundry room and then he touches the blood and he's like, ooh. He's like, ooh, I wish I had my... I wish, Safi, if you do that again, you're going to get punished. Pointing to your watch or something.
Oh, no.
Pointing to your watch.
Go ahead.
You're
keep
making
going.
me lose my train of thought.
You're not going to... It's a security guard at the place, and he puts his finger in the blood.
Oh, he really should have, like, stayed at the vending machine. Eating Twinkies. He's like, I didn't have dinner, so I'm going to have a Twinkie.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That was funny. See, just that one moment is better than this entire movie, because it's funny at least, and it's funny like in a good way, not like a bad way like this entire movie.
What is that, from 2?
Resurrection. I just said that.
Oh, okay.
But this whole movie was trash. There was nothing good in it except for like the minor things. And let's talk about. Well, we already talked about the grandson. The grandson is still the grandson.
Marco's saying that because she's wearing an outfit that she was Clyde and her boyfriend, who they broke up, but now they're back together at the end of this movie.
Literally, the opening
Bonnie.
shot is showing him in his dress and a skirt.
Yeah, his skirt and sweater, short sleeve sweater.
God, embarrassing. Very embarrassing. Cringeworthy. Trash.
Well, they probably were. They didn't even give him a second look, but she looked like, if anybody has ever seen the movie Annie Hall, she looked very Annie Hall, but he looked weird. He had on a skirt and a short sleeve sweater, and I think maybe he didn't have the beret on anymore. I don't know. That was the last part of his outfit, was the beret, because she wore, and Bonnie and Clyde.
But
Bonnie
this is yet again another Halloween movie without any nudity at all. And Safi, why don't you talk about that?
No, I don't. I don't need the sex at all.
But there's no nudity
But there's
at all
not
either.
even, and
Like,
that is weird, because Halloween movies, they always showed something, the backside of somebody or
and we all know
the front side of somebody. I just won't even go into detail.
It's because it's 2020. You can't show that anymore.
It's 2021.
Yeah. Well, no, this movie was supposed to come out last year, but then they delayed it. They delayed it because of how trash it was.
Well, also and we still do a pandemic.
Well, they really
they could
fucked
use that
up
as
big
an
time.
excuse.
Yeah, this whole movie is an excuse.
They
for
could have
trash.
used that time to improve the movie. You know,
they just decided not to. They decided to
I don't know why not.
Because I think that they think their audience are dumbasses. They just have the lowest opinion of their audience, and I don't blame them, because these fanboys are fucking stupid. I mean, they just want to see the first movie replicated over and over again. I've already seen a bunch of fanboys, and they say the best part of the movie is where they make up new footage for the 1970s. That's the best part of the movie. And I wish I could just watch a whole movie of that. And it's like, oh, the first movie? Like, you just want to watch, just go watch the fucking first movie, fanboy. Like, those fanboys are why we got this movie. And this is the worst Halloween movie ever made. It literally, it takes from the worst ones, too. Like, you guys talk about how much you hate Part 6. Well, this movie takes from Part 6. Like, the whole thing with the people living in Michael's house and then he comes to kill them, that is literally from Part 6. That is literally the story from that, how the Strodes live there and they don't know that it's Michael's house, then they find out and they all get killed. That's literally the story. So, Safi, you have anything else to say? Oh, yeah, well, let's talk about the mob and how like
I already did.
the mob tries to kill him with Tommy, and Tommy's like, "I'm gonna protect you, Lori." and,
God.
and Anthony Michael Hall, of all people, you get the nerd from the Breakfast Club to play Tommy.
That's what I thought.
What a joke! Like, he is not Tommy at all.
No.
And the terrible casting in this movie, terrible acting, terrible music, terrible set design, terrible kills, terrible everything. This movie was terrible. But this mob, like, beats him up in the street, and then he just kills them all. That's basically this whole movie.
Yeah.
It's just a hodgepodge of killing, then stories from other movies in the series.
Yeah.
So, Safi, let's rate it in terms of food.
Okay, well, back in high school, which was a million years ago, for lunch, they decided to make hot dogs, I think it was hot dogs, and sauerkraut. And I guess because it's a German area, and but I don't remember anybody ever eating sauerkraut there. But anyway, it was German-influenced area. And everybody tried it, and then they all went to the bathroom and barfed it up because it was really gross, and I couldn't even touch it. I didn't even bother to touch it. I just didn't eat my lunch. And so that's what this was like. They served this, whatever it was, this dog, and they threw all this gross sauerkraut, which maybe it was good, but nobody was a fan of sauerkraut. It was all white. I don't think it was cooked right. Maybe it didn't have, I'd never had it before. And usually, I think sauerkraut usually has a sauce, and it's a little bit brownish, and I could be wrong. But anyway, this wasn't good, and everybody just went and barfed it all up in the bathroom. You wouldn't believe there were lines to the stalls to puke, okay? And this is what this movie was. It was a bunch of sauerkraut that everybody wanted to throw up.
How about this movie is they take all the puke out of the toilets.
No!
And then they put it in a blender and you drink it.
Oh, God. Please don't do that anymore. I still have to go to the store, get our dinner ingredients, and then get my chicken lunch. Today's KFC day. Friday is always KFC day.
They'll probably fuck it up this time.
They better not.
Because I'm thinking about getting some popcorn chicken.
Oh boy.
So it's time for my rating.
Okay, I can't wait to hear what it is.
Well, there was this other time I got food poisoning from burgers. And the reason why I say that is because if you guys haven't kept up, we've reviewed the whole series, and I've come to the conclusion that basically this is a hamburger of a series. It's very American. You know, this is the like essential American horror series. Well, there was this other time I went to this place called Chicago Heroes, and I don't know why. I think it was after working out. I was just tired. Wanted to get some burgers and shit, and go home and watch a good Halloween movie like Halloween 6, the producer's cut. Halloween 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, any of them except for these new ones. So I got a mushroom Swiss burger, and I tasted it, and it did not taste that bad, but then later on, it was like, I don't even want to describe it. It was so bad.
Is that the hot dog place?
Yeah, it was just diarrhea all night long.
I think the mushrooms were from a jar or something. They tell you not to do that.
It was those damn mushrooms.
Fresh.
This whole movie was that fucking mushroom Swiss burger, diarrhea all night, thinking about Michael Myers and a stupid mask.
Don't ever buy mushrooms from a can or a jar. Just get them fresh. They're really not that hard to fix.
I like mushrooms too, so it's like, that sucked.
I remember that.
Yeah, see, even Safi.
We don't go there anymore. We didn't go. Yeah. I think we stopped going there after that too.
See, even Safi remembers it. That's how bad it was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it makes me sad too, because mushrooms are good, but It's just, I learned this a long time ago, decades. You don't buy mushrooms in a jar. Can't. It's probably you'll get sick.
Okay,
I don't know why, but
the ending. Now let's talk about the ending. At the end, they kill Judy Greer because Judy Greer sees the ghost of Michael in Michael's house in the sister's window.
when he's a little boy.
But it's hilarious because Michael's still fucking alive.
Yeah.
So what does that remind you of, everyone?
Yeah.
Halloween 2 remake! Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, everyone's favorite. That literally happened in Halloween 2. You saw the whole movie. You saw Michael as a kid, and once again he had his clown outfit on, just like in Halloween 2. He had the clown outfit on. And it's funny because it's just like in Halloween 2, where Dr. Loomis insists on going into the barn to confront Michael Myers. Well, in this one, Judy Greer insists on going in the Myers house to confront Michael all by herself. Or to just see what's going on, because she's like, ooh, is there a ghost? And then she walks up to the window, and Michael literally just pops up from behind her. Like, it is literally the stupidest shit ever. One of the biggest problems with this movie is that there's no atmosphere at all. Because there's no subtlety. It's literally just Michael popping up out of nowhere and killing people.
Slash and burn.
It's like a Friday the 13th movie, which I've heard people say, so I don't want to seem like I'm copying, but I got that vibe too. That sort of like very, very like dumbed down horror where it's like, oh look, it's guy killing people. Guy really scary. Wow, I'm really scared. Like, ugh. So what do you want to see in the Halloween Ends, Safi, that comes out next year, maybe? What do you want to see?
Well, I don't know how. I guess the clue to catching him or to stop him is to catch him and somehow restrain him where he can't break the restraints.
Yeah.
And then lock him up.
They did that in part 5. That's why
they did, but they need to do it again and never transfer him because the problems seem to come up every time he gets transferred. The transfer is the problem. I don't know what happened in the other one.
Well, and I'll just say
in this movie, what happened?
What do you mean in this
Or
movie?
no, the one before this.
You don't remember what happened last night? Oh, that was a transfer.
I know it was a transfer. What happened? They didn't show it. Yeah, see, they didn't show it. So whatever happens, no more transfers. He's just locked up.
No more transfers.
Put him in isolation. I don't know. And that's terrible for me to say, but he's unstoppable. You just have to wait him out until he passes away.
Well, see, that's why I really liked Halloween 5 after thinking about it, is the fact that at the end of that movie, Dr. Loomis beats him up with a 2x4, shoots him with a sniper rifle, and then throws a net over him and tackles him.
The net.
And he fucking tackles Michael Myers. That's how awesome Dr. Loomis was.
Yeah.
And it was completely disrespectful how they cast a new Dr. Loomis, because you know that they're going to bring him back for the next one. They're going to have another flashback sequence. They're going to show Dr. Loomis. What a shame. But what was I gonna say? What was I saying? You just
you're talking how I'm responsible.
Well, you distracted me. I was
you're talking about bringing back Dr. Loomis.
Well, they, instead of killing him and pretending, yay, we killed Michael Myers. Like, instead of doing that, what did they do? They restrain him in the net with like chains and shit, and then they lock him up. Yeah. And so I really liked how at the end of that Halloween 5, instead of trying to kill him, they just put him in fucking a cell.
Right, and he is a human.
That was cool.
Although we did hear some, but they're ignoring it anyway, so I'm just not even going to complete that thought. But if all it takes is to restrain him and no more transfers, and then wait him out until he passes away from old age, okay? Because he will die eventually of old age.
They need to bring him some insurer and help him, and give him some television to watch.
That might be a problem for him. That'll make him probably be able to break out of the padded room if he gets insured. he's like Superman because he is an older actor, and he's running around and doing all this stuff. He must have worked out and to do this because I mean it did take a lot of strength to do the things that he did in this movie, unless they had a double.
They should have a scene where there's like an empty room and there's just a TV in the room and the TV is playing like the Weather Channel, and Michael goes over and he's like, "Ooh, look, the Weather Channel!" And he sits down, and that's where they restrain him. Like, that's how they catch Michael Myers, because he is now at that age where he loves to watch the Weather Channel.
Yeah. So I think that's it, everybody. I hope Marco's done. And I know the whole movie was such garbage.
You could just
so
go
many
on
issues.
and on.
You could go on forever.
We didn't even scratch the surface. Like, that's how bad this movie is.
So,
like,
and it's
seriously.
not worth it. It really isn't.
It
But
is,
it's
because
still
they're
up to
still
you.
going to make a next one. So it's like, they're going to still make a next movie.
If you want to go see it, don't waste your money, though. If you can get it
Yeah.
another way, get it another way, because you'll be very upset. Believe me. For the most part, I can't speak for everybody, but I think most people will find, and if they're upset about firefighters getting murdered, because I really don't think that would have been real, if you want to say real in any sense related to this movie, but they can't be exempt if nobody else is. Sorry, but that's just the way it goes. And it was if you just take the firefighters getting killed, except for how they usually, if they do get killed in a fire with something, falling on them or whatever, just the scene, the picture of the fire, the flames shooting out, and the smoke and everything, and then you have Michael Myers standing there holding an axe right in front of it with, the flames are the backdrop to him. That was a really cool picture. Okay, so that's the only thing cool about it.
Well,
We're not going to go through this again because I did this at the beginning.
I will say, too, if the next movie and the last movie, because we all know it's not going to be the last movie with these fuckers. These greedy-ass, lazy-ass people who don't make original movies. If the next one doesn't have any nudity in it, it's getting an automatic F for me. So, are we really just gonna do Halloween movies now that don't have any nudity? Like, really? Like, what's next? Is the Scream 5 not gonna have any nudity either? Well, that kind of fits more because the Scream series really didn't have much of that at all, which is why I watched, like, the whole Scream series as a kid, because it didn't have any of that. But if the next one doesn't have any, then it's getting an automatic fail. So, what do you think of that, Safi?
Whatever.
Don't you agree with that? That's kind of ridiculous.
Don't care. There's just too many other issues that's the least of it. The very, very, very least.
It's a tradition.
Maybe it is, but there's just so much. I just think they need to put it to bed. And for Jamie Lee Curtis, she ought to know better. I mean, really, it's very disappointing because the things she was doing, and she just looks awful. Maybe she's trying to do that because she really has. That's a wig. She has short hair, and Marco heard something she said about...
Yeah, she said that she pushed for this to be more focused on strong women because horror movies are traditionally all about men. So we need to have a series that's about women.
And she really cared about the movie. It's just not all of...
It's funny
these
because...
These people are too single-focused.
There is literally a fucking month where horror fanboys call it Women in Horror Month, where all they do is celebrate women in horror. They don't even have a Men in Horror Month. They only have a Women in Horror Month. They have Facebook groups called Women in Horror. There's literally a term based on slasher movies, which Halloween is the primary slasher movie. They literally have a term called Final Girl, because in horror movies, slashers, traditionally, the woman survives at the end.
Okay.
So what a
Unbelievable.
hypocritical, what a bullshitting biatch.
Okay, that's enough now. Anyway, that's that.
You
I
brought
think
it
we're
up.
Done. I know, but we're done now.
I was done.
We're done.
So,
Okay, say goodbye,
please
everybody.
like this video, subscribe to our channel.
Yes, we appreciate all
Comment.
of our 200 subscribers, and we welcome more.
Our 200th subscriber, I was lucky enough to see, because sometimes they hide it. Our 200th subscriber was a guy named Elvis. So maybe it was this.
Ghost of Elvis.
Maybe it was the ghost of Elvis, and
oh my God.
he's really mad about Halloween. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.